welcome back to the Cuyahoga Sound Podcast.
Hell yeah.
We got Dave from Chewy Center here.
Oh, the Chewy Center.
Yeah. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for reaching out. You were one of the first artists to reach out to us once we got started.
Yeah, I saw you guys interview my buddies in Grav. I just saw the Mikey Silas interview, the Ray Flanagan one. So
Yeah.
those are all guys I follow, and I just like the conversation. So thank you so much for accepting the request.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thank you so much for coming in. So Chewy Center, how'd you guys get started?
So it used to be a trio, and the three of us met in high school at Padua Franciscan, and we were all in the music ministry, like praise band for school mass, because you didn't have to sit in the pews. You could just kind of fuck off and just like play random chords and like try to sneak in riffs to church songs. So we were doing that, and we didn't even know each other. We were just playing together, doing that. And then there was a talent show, and we all met because we all found out about each other's like crappy garage bands, and we're like, let's make our own crappy garage band. And we were just we were playing like metal stuff too, like we were all into Disturbed and Avenged Sevenfold and that. And that was, then high school ended, I went off to college. I found Humphreys McGee, which is my favorite jam band. They're like super heavy and proggy, and
Oh, we know Humphreys.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. With
Yeah.
the light show
The
that's
best show I've ever seen in my entire life
oh my god,
was the Masonic Temple in January of 19.
that is
Big
such a
something.
great
I was
place
there.
to see shows.
I was there.
That is
Yeah.
the best show I've ever seen in my life.
That was cool, especially after seeing them at House of Blues, which is like kind of compact for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that great show. So
MGM Northfield, did you go to that show?
I skipped that one.
Yeah, that was a good one to skip.
I
It was a weird crowd, because they give their tickets to their premier gamblers, you know what I mean? And so a lot of people that weren't fans were there. Just like
Humphreys
what's
fans
going
are
on
like
here?
metal nerd hippies with engineering degrees. Like, so I found that band, and I came back from break, and I was like, guys, I found this, and they're like the jam band for people who are into heavy music, and that's kind of how we got into that world. And I've always been into Red Hot Chili Peppers, which is like very cliche, but like everyone's into them. But I love Frusciante's playing in particular, and we were doing this sound where like the guys were like still kind of playing metal and punk on the low end, and I was doing all this Frusciante strumming on the high end, and we formalized the band, and we started gigging and put out some music. And then right before the pandemic, we got Steve in the band, our keyboard player, and Steve has a metal background. He's also a producer. He produces our stuff. He just produced an EP for a prog metal band called Zoe. He's worked with a bunch of people. So him coming into the mix, like musically, he fit immediately. Like he just kind of fit in with our personalities. And then he, aside from the music, he's helping us in the studio. So it's got a pretty good operation right now, and we love doing it, and we're all up each other's ass every day, as all good bands should be.
Yeah.
So
We definitely, before you came in here, we were just talking because I heard Chili Peppers in there, and so did I.
every song I heard some Frusciante influence, yeah.
it's in there somewhere.
So he and I actually met in a Chili Peppers tribute band.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, we picked up on that right away.
So you were Flea,
I was Frusciante.
you were
Frusciante,
Frusciante, and you were Chad.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
We had a lot of fun in that band. But yeah, we picked up on those vibes right away. So bringing keys in, did you feel a big change in the band, in the feel, in the songwriting? How did that
Yeah.
affect it?
Being a 3-person jam band, we felt like we had to overcompensate a lot and fill all the space. So by bringing in Steve, it was a real challenge for all of us, especially for me, having done all the treble clef up till that point, like learning how to make room for him. And we kind of had to create a unspoken language on how to like trade like who's leading at this point in the jams and things like that. But it's gotten more natural as we've gone on, and like I think a big thing in a jam band like ours is like learn to do more with less sometimes.
Did you end up, when you're making room with that sound, you end up changing the effects that you were using?
Yeah, we still very much sounded like us. It kind of added something, and Steve does it all, like, and he has a good ear for knowing like what's appropriate when. Is it a piano moment? Is it organ? Is it synthesizer? And we've kind of like, we're in this jammy world, but we also kind of have a foot in like the regular Cleveland rock scene. And I got really into like AOR rock, like Toto and stuff like that. And all these bands from Scandinavia that are still trying to sound exactly like it. Like they're just putting out records that could have been like Kenny Loggins records.
Yeah.
So we're kind of incorporating sounds from that world now. We just put out a song in November. Yeah.
November.
That's what that month's called. We put out a song called Fruit Flavored Perfume, which is like the first time we kind of incorporated some of those sounds into one of our songs, and we kind of like that direction.
Yeah, that's fresh sound for you guys.
Thanks.
Yeah, it definitely sounded a little bit different. You could pick up on the influences were different. It felt almost like fresh, like it was new to you guys too. That came through in the recording. That kind of energy.
And I also, before we recorded these new songs, I started taking voice lessons for the first time in my life, and that was like learning how to ride a bike all over again, like learning like how to use your diaphragm and what that actually means, and how to maintain things, and like your vocal maintenance around it. And because like I like our first record, I wasn't happy with my vocal performance in retrospect, so I wanted to like really nail it going in. And Steve's a great singer, and our drummer Ben added some vocal tracks. So it all came together.
Yeah.
Were those songs you re-recorded after the vocal coaching?
So like everything like from this fall was recorded after the vocal coaching. So like Easter, Fruit Flavored Perfume. We have a new track coming up on our EP, which should be out by the time this is released. That track's Whirly Groove. And then there's another track on the EP. We released the single earlier this fall. We did a cover of Fleetwood Mac's Rhiannon with a friend of ours named Sammy Lee, who did the Stevie Nicks part, and that came together really nicely too.
So I imagine going into vocal coaching, once you're established as a musician, there's kind of two ways you could possibly feel about it coming out of it, where you're either coming in way more confident because you have a little bit of know-how, or you come in like, oh man, I didn't really know what I was doing. I'm learning all these new things. So how does it feel performing just starting with the vocal coaching, and how has that progressed?
Well, the guy who did my coaching, he's a musical theater coach.
Okay.
So absolutely, like, he doesn't know much of anything about the rock world, and he doesn't care. So I had to learn how to sing that way, and like aside from all the technicality stuff, I was showing him some of those new songs, and he's like, what's the story? Who are the characters? And like when we were rehearsing, he made me like sing it like how those characters would say it, which is something I've never done and something that was kind of weird to me at first. But it was a really interesting exercise, and I would have never thought to come at those songs the way I did if I didn't have like some kind of out of left field perspective helping me with that.
What's his name, your coach?
His name's Charles Eversole. He's out of Lakewood. Shout out to Chuck.
Cool.
Other Chuck.
Other Chuck.
Well,
speaking of other Chucks, let's go on to our sponsor, Chuck Kaminsky with the Basement Trader. Check him out. Chuck's in Painesville, Ohio. He does setups, work on guitars. He sells new and used gear. He's got a reverb shop with some really cool stuff on there.
BasementTrader.com.
Yeah,
Chuck Kaminsky, thank you.
Thank
very
you,
much.
Chuck.
He hooked us up with these great microphones.
Yeah.
And he's got good deals for you, too, if you're looking for some gear.
Chuck's the man.
We're always looking for crap.
We're also in partnership with Listen CLE. At listencle.com, you can find
Mike
9
McFarland,
playlists.
Yep.
Mike McFarland.
Yeah.
We just talked to him last week.
Nice.
Doing
that
excellent.
episode will be out soon.
Yeah, doing excellent.
It will be
things.
out already. You can go back and listen to that episode after David the Chewy Center here.
Yeah. Learn
Listen,
about the
CLE.
busking culture. Learn about all the 9 playlists, maybe 10 by the time this one comes out, right?
That's right. Mood-based playlists, all Ohio artists, Northeast Ohio artists.
Yeah.
And he's a friendly dude.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. All right.
Let's get back to the Chewy Center. Back to your regular scheduled podcast.
So where'd the name come from?
So we had, when we were just like dicking around in the basement, like jamming, we just kept like a group chat of names that just sounded stupid, and we had like 400 names. And then when we had to, like, some of them were really dumb. Some of them were like, there's no way we could get away with it. Like, my personal favorite was the comedy roast of Jesus Christ.
Wow.
people would have thought we were a very different band.
Nailed it.
So we like all did our top 5, and Chewy Center was like neither of our number ones, but it was all in our top 5. So it's like, I guess. But we kind of grew into it, and now like we feel really attached to it. So it's not like the most glamorous story ever, but it just, I don't know. It kind of came before what it meant to us.
Yeah.
Cool. Have you guys decided what is the Chewy Center of?
When I think of the Chewy Center, it's just like, I don't know. It depends how drunk we are when we're answering this question, and usually I'm a little more. But
Cool. Well, sober answer.
I mean, like, the heart of the band is just the fact that 3 of us have been best friends for a decade, and like when we got Steve, like he just came right into that friendship, and it's like he's been there for that entire decade. So
Cool.
like we're texting each other all the time. Like we have a separate chat for memes. We have a chat for managing our Minecraft server, and then we have a chat for the band stuff. So like there's not a day that goes by where we're not communicating with each other.
Yeah.
So
Where are you all from again?
I'm sorry?
Where are you all from again?
We're all from the west side. We practice out of Fairview Park, but like Fairview, Lakewood, Parma.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a Chewy Center is just like the friendship.
Yeah.
All right.
I
That's
like
a good
it.
answer.
Yeah.
Well, I'm dying to hear some of these other names that did make the cut. Can we get like 3 or 4 more?
God, I wish I would have brought it. We I think we have a printed list somewhere. The first time we went on stage, we were Dick Richards. That was my idea. Didn't stick.
I like that.
That sounds like an album from Dick Richards.
Yeah.
Dick Richards didn't stick.
We had this dumb inside joke where we were going to be the Chim Willards band, and then we were going to alternate nights where like some nights were Chim Willards band, but not the Chim Willards band. Like it's so stupid, but like to us it's hilarious, and that's all that matters. And
Yeah.
that's usually why people give us strange looks when we actually talk. So, but we're okay with it.
Yeah.
Cool. What are some of your favorite places to play around Cleveland?
Home base for us has been the Winchester on Madison and Lakewood. Ben Joseph is one of my favorite people who's ever run sound, and he does all the booking. And
That's about the 3rd shout out to him in these podcasts.
when he took over, like I feel like that place really got kind of an identity or a personality as far as like the style of bookings they do, and they do a variety. But to me, it's very much like the jam band haven on the west side. We've done Beachland, like in the tavern room. We love playing there. The Grog Shop. We've done Mahal's, where you and I will have played at this point in time. But we did Musica down in Akron.
Solid place.
And we're starting to do a few more festivals. We got into some Coyote Grove shows over the pandemic, and we've been playing some of the Spunfest events. My buddy Ryan Jensen runs Spunfest. He's out of Sandusky, and it's this kind of like hippie festival with a lot of electronic music, but he's incorporating more like live bands and like live vocalists and things like that. So we kind of met him right when he was doing the first one, and it's been cool to like see him build it and us to come back every year and
Cool.
him add
Where does
stuff.
that take place?
I'm sorry?
Where does that take place?
That's-
Can't talk louder today.
I'm the same way. I'm a quiet talker usually. That was down at, I think it's called Pleasant Hill State Park. It's kind of towards Columbus, or Perrysville. I think that's where it is, Perrysville. Wonderful spot. So yeah, we do a lot of like the clubs around here. We're trying to get into the ones we haven't, some breweries, and we're trying to kind of make more of a name for ourselves on the festival circuit.
Cool. Yeah. Have you applied to any for next year that you're waiting to hear back from? Is that confidential?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, we applied to like most of the ones that happen like in the Cleveland area. A lot of like the more jam band centric festivals around. So we'll keep you updated if we make it onto any of them, but definitely trying to be more involved in that scene because like I love playing in the clubs. Like if you're playing on a rock bill, but I always joke around. I would rather play to 5 wooks than 20 people with their arms crossed every day. Because the 5 wooks will just go absolutely wild, and it makes it so much more of a fun atmosphere. That's been a really cool community to play to.
Yeah. Do you feel your music change when you're performing in those live settings and the audience is getting way into it?
Yeah, we definitely like go deeper into the jams and do a little more daring stuff, I would say, just as far as like risks taking during a jam. Sometimes if we're playing with more of a rock crowd, we kind of just stick to like the songs or like minimalist jams. We just try to feel it out a little bit. We change our set list a little bit.
Do you find a lot of new material coming from those expanded risk-taking jams?
Yeah, that's how we do a lot of our writing. Usually, like if we're doing a jam that's like 10, 15 minutes and there's like one little part, like we try to remember that, and then we take that to practice and we just pick that part, and the way we write is we'll just kind of take something and we'll play it just for an hour until we find like all the little riffs we can squeeze out of it and the transition points. It used to be like I used to write a lot of the songs and I would bring them to the band and then they would fill in parts, and now it's very much the opposite where we write these jams and then I have to kind of find a melody within it and find something to sing about.
Okay.
And it takes me forever to write lyrics, so that's always a challenge.
So you don't have like do you have a batch of lyrics ready to go to try and pair in with these songs, or is it fresh for each song?
We have like a notebook of just all these little like phrases we come up with, and our bass player works nights by himself. He stocks shelves at Mark's, so he just like his mind is just going. So I'll be getting text messages at like 3 a.m. with this like a really weird thing he's saying, but it's kind of poetic at the same time, and he'll just be like, ponder on that. All right, and I go back to bed, and sometimes it turns into a song.
Yeah. You wake up in the morning, it says Old Spice aisle 3.
Sometimes it's like that. He's definitely Nate Vegas, shout out. Nate's definitely like the artistic mind in the band. Like he's just kind of that mindset where he's just, I don't know, like some people and you're just like that person's an artist in some way. Mm-hmm. Like Nate's very much that person.
Yeah, cool, man. Cool. I'm really impressed with the fresh sound you guys are giving.
Thank you.
Because I don't hear that out of bands around here very much. That funk-driven rock and the wanting to improvise like in sections like that.
Yeah.
At the same time, and that just like the big influence that you mentioned, which we don't have to keep saying.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to be able to hear the influences without you sounding like that band.
Oh yeah, I don't hear like they're just like that, But
yeah.
you can hear like that's where it came from.
Yeah, it's like having a dish like, oh, this has pepper in it, But that's not the whole dish. You can hear all the ingredients going into it.
So, sometimes it's really hard because you'll be jamming on something and you'll come up with something and then it's like deep in your subconscious, like that's from Phil's Farm, like 2014, August 12th, like, and
27 minutes in,
and I'll be listening to like a live jam with something. I'm like, shit, we took that. We have to go back and like, all right, scrap it or get rid of that part.
Yeah. Well, there's so much that's been written that it's, there's so much in all of our subconsciouses at this point,
It's daunting.
It's very tough. Yeah.
Like you always worry, like for me, just as a writer, I always worry that I'm taking something from someone and like how much is an homage and how much is like a ripoff.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you'll find those things where a lot of times, at least for me, like some of the things that I write that I think are my best stuff that I've written are the ones where I'm most like, all right, where did I steal that from? Like, I know
it has a lot to do with just your personal preference and integrity with it, because I hear more people worried about doing it than people accusing someone of doing it.
Yeah.
When they're listening to it. So it's really all about your personal preference with it.
Yeah.
Right.
If you're okay with it, and like you're not like completely ripping someone off.
Yeah.
That's one thing I've always appreciated about the Chewy Center is that there's such a not a disconnect, but we're so spread out as far as genres we listen to on our own. Like me and the bass player are more into jam bands. Our keyboard player a little bit, but he's more into prog and stoner metal and just like random stuff. Like he'll just find like a European like techno subgenre and like a little pocket of something and show it to me. And I'm like, oh, that was a thing. And then we always tease our drummer because like high school, he was obsessed with the Rev from Avenged Sevenfold, and like that's just all of his drumming. Like that's a pillar somewhere.
Yeah.
Just that whole metalcore late 2000s scene, but he brings a different flavor to it. Like he doesn't play like other drummers in the jam scene, and I don't think he ever will because he just kind of puts himself in a capsule sometimes with that stuff, and I love him for it.
Yeah.
It always turns out interesting.
Yeah, you feel those influences come out. I know for me as a drummer, like I played in a country band, and I remember recording, and I'm like, I think I just recorded an Alex Van Halen part, in a country song. But those influences come out, and sometimes that's what makes something new. Is you have those flavors that get thrown together, and you're like, who the fuck thought that was a good idea? But that works, like it's something you hear about, and you wouldn't think would work great together, but it does, and you can hear those types of influences in your music, and it sounds like you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Other than Humphreys and Chili Peppers, who are some other jam bands you listen to and other people you take influence from?
Big into the Main Squeeze. I've seen them multiple times. I got to meet Corey, the singer, when they played the Beachland, like I think 5 years ago at this point. They're super down to earth. I'm in the Lotus. Boombox was one of our really
was
big...
that Main Squeeze show with Essential Groove?
I didn't make
Cleveland dudes opening up?
I don't know if I made it for the opener.
No, that was the one time I saw Main Squeeze. It seems like it was about 4 or 5 years ago. But those guys are awesome. He's right.
Yeah.
Check out the Main Squeeze.
And their covers. Like they cover all this 70s rock, and it's out of this world. Lotus, Boombox was one of our early big ones because like it's more drum and bass music that just lives in the jam band world. So we're like, oh, they're minimalist. Like we could do stuff like that. And our early sound kind of had a lot of that, and we covered a few of their songs. Outside of like the jam world, I'm really into this band from Scandinavia called Night Flight Orchestra.
Okay.
Like they're just super like cheeseball 80s, but like that's what they're going for, and they write these concept records around it, and it's so corny, but it's so energetic, and I don't know, like that whole subgenre I've just kind of fallen in love with. Speaking for the other guys, our keyboard player, his favorite band of all time is Black Sabbath. Our bass player's favorite band of all time is a Wilhelm Scream. Like completely not jam music, and then Ben with Avenged Sevenfold and Black Veil Brides, and we're kind of all over the place, but we like kind of where we found.
Nice, cool.
What about influences as a player?
As a player, Frusciante is obviously a big influence for me, and then not to keep going back to like the main influences we talked about, but one thing I always liked with Humphreys McGee is you have one guitarist who's really focusing on effects, and he's more of a jazzy player. Then you have one guy who's like a Van Halen shredder, but also a country shredder. So I've picked up things from both of them. Trey Anastasio more recently in like the jam world, like kind of listening to more Fish, I kind of learned how to sit back and let the keys take over sometimes. So, and also just making things more chord driven with progressions instead of just kind of picking a chord and sitting on it for a whole song. Like sometimes that's right for the song, sometimes it's not. So I'd say like those are the ones that are really important to me right now.
Yeah.
First two bands I ever got into were AFI and White Stripes. So Like, Jack White's always in there somewhere as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jack White's one of mine too.
Yeah. So what's your rig look like right now?
So, the guitar that is like my workhorse and my baby, it's a Gibson Marauder.
Okay.
Which is like this super weird guitar from the late 70s that Gibson was trying to compete with the Telecaster, and they biffed it. The guitar is not constructed well, but it has this slanted pickup that they only made for that model, and they have never recreated since. And the best way I can describe it is like a punchier Telecaster. And it's really small. It has the shape of a Les Paul, the cut style of a Strat, the pickups of a Tele, and the head of a Flying V. Like, it is beautifully ugly, and I love that guitar. I also play a Tele, and then I just put. Some guys are really into their amps. I'm just not. Maybe I just can't afford that hobby yet. But I just play out of a Fender Champion 100, and it does the job. Everything else, I run out of the pedal board, and my pedal board's it's laid out pretty basic. I've got my wah, I've got a Mojo overdrive, and then I've got a Russian Big Muff when I want to go really heavy, and then I go into my modulations, and then my favorite pedal that I own is a $30 delay, like analog delay pedal. It's super shitty, but that was my first pedal, and it's never going to go off my board.
Is it FAB?
Which one?
Look, is that the company that makes it?
No, I think it's called Cadine.
Oh, okay.
It's just called the Tap Echo, but
I had the same kind of $30 delay that I didn't go away from for so long because it was nice. Like,
Yeah.
no big deal. That was maybe Fab, but FAB I always.
Yeah, sometimes you don't have to spend to get your sound.
Right.
You just have to find your sound.
Yeah, I just had like 2 or 3 knobs on it.
those pedals you've had like your whole like playing career, it's just like you learn every little nuance and in and out. It's like you can't. When we were recording, I wanted to put it on some songs, and Steve's like, "Well, it's probably a better idea I do like the delays in post production." I was like, "What are you talking about?"
Blasphemy.
I had to really
Get a
learn how to
good
be okay
connection
with
with
it, and like I think the first song I was being kind of a diva about it. Like, I left it on, but it was just ever so low, like barely audible, and I was like, "That's for me."
I need that flavor. That's my comfort blanket.
Yeah, it's my comfort tone, and
I feel I've got the same Boss Super Chorus 1 since I was 18. That pedal is so old, it still works perfect, still gives me all the sounds I need out of that effect.
I go through gear nonstop. Like, I just do not have an attachment
but that
to
Super
anything.
Chorus has always been right there. I think I had like the Corona Chorus for like a month and then like switched it back out. Oh, thank you.
I don't make a lot of changes to mine. I'm really trying to just like learn all the parts of all my pedals. So for some people it's a hobby. It's just one I haven't gotten into, but
It can be an expensive hobby if you get too far into it.
Yeah.
dude, I build Gundam model kits. Like, I already have an expensive hobby.
Yeah.
Like, I can't afford another one. Not yet.
So what wah pedal are you using?
It's just a Vox.
Okay.
And again, I think that was I had a Line 6 rig when I was learning, and like I had the wah that had the 4 like preset effects. So that was technically my first wah. But then I got this Vox, and like it's been working really well, and I've just gotten work done on it.
Yeah.
I have a really good guitar tech. His name's Chris Fiddler. Shout out to Chris Fiddler, Fiddler Guitar. He's out of North Olmsted. He took my Marauder was like in unplayable shape when I got it.
Ooh.
It was just given to me in a bag. It had been in the closet for 10 years. And like he built a new pick guard. Like, he just brought it all back to life. So I try to take care of my stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, it's your tools. You got to make them work, you know?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I dig those Vox wahs too. That's the wah I go to.
Great, cool.
They've got a full sound.
They do,
On
on
the big roll.
I try to. I worked with Chuck Kaminsky there, Basement Trader, when he was working at Arrowhead Music in Menor.
Yeah.
And I remember lining up all the different wahs that they had, and be like, all right, let's try this one. Let's try this one. Went home with the Vox. But you talk about the Line 6 stuff. There's no shame in all that. Like, especially when you're just learning what your sound is, you're learning what effects you want. You know, you can pour money into something that's just not going to work for you. Where if you have the all-in-one unit, you're like, all right, I like this flavor. Let's see what a really good version of that tastes like, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if you just want, like, if it's more like you just like what the pre-packaging is, that's fine.
Yeah.
Or, like, you can get really into it and, like, it's a whole deal.
Yeah, it can get crazy. It can get too crazy.
I love going to shows or playing shows, and, like, there's one guy who has, like, a really, like, respectable gear setup, and then, like, anyone who plays music, they're just kind of, like, around the stage before the show, just like, like, I hope he comes over so I can ask him questions. And I'm totally one of those guys.
That's me too.
Yeah. So we will actually be doing the asking those questions coming up. Actually, probably sometime around when this airs, we're going to start our rig rundowns. Nice. So we'll be coming out to some live shows. So look for us bugging you about your gear and filming it all.
Get ready for disappointment.
There's no disappointment. It's all what makes your sound and showing people the equation, you know?
I love those rig rundown videos.
Yeah, so do we. We're going to have drums in them, too. So that'll be a little bit different because I'm a drummer.
Don't give Ben a platform. He'll keep going. He had a Frankenstein kit forever, and he saved up and got this really gorgeous kit. It's a Tama kit, and it changed everything.
Yeah.
Like you don't it's like white noise. Like you don't notice like the ringing and things when you're so used to it, and then like you make a switch, like you really invest in yourself or just get something reliable, and it's like, that's nice.
Yeah. When you're not worried about your gear failing on you, you can open
God.
up a lot more.
Before I had the Fender amp, I had like a dying Marshall amp, and it would cave on me like in shows, like just it would stop.
Yeah,
that happened. Like there was a 1 in 4 chance it was going to happen.
Rolling the dice every time.
Yeah, it was terrifying.
Well, we covered what places you like to play around here. What are some of the bands that you like around here, or the musicians, artists in Cleveland that you're friends with, or you draw inspiration from, or you'd like to shout out anything?
Sure. The Cleveland's got a great scene. If I miss someone that I'm friends with, I'm going to do my best.
This means he hates you.
Our first like band brothers we ever made was a band called Erie Waters out of Paynesville.
Oh yeah.
They're a 5-person like Mo setup jam band. They're a lot of fun.
I've been talking to Eddie, their bass player, about being on here.
Erie Waters?
Oh wait. No, sorry.
It's okay.
Can you cut that out? I'm
You
thinking
blew
of
it.
Irie something. Okay.
Oh, Lake Erie.
Yeah, Lake Erie.
Oh, that's an honest mistake.
I've been wanting to play with them.
Erie Waters, Lake Erie. Sorry, Eddie. We'll get you in here too.
Erie Waters, Rust Belt Ragtops are from that side of town too. They've got like a really like funk, blues, soul sound.
Oh yeah, good saxophone player in that band.
You guys have had Grav. I love playing with Among the Willows, your brothers.
Yeah.
Man, who else? We've played with Fuzz Aldrin a couple times. Funny Business is a great band. Rubik's Groove is wonderful. Man, I'm trying to think of all the other ones. I'll spend 5 more seconds on this. I'm dead. Guys, if I missed you, I'm real sorry. And shout out to Sammy Lee, who was on Rhiannon.
Yeah. Great. That sounded really good.
Well, we got to keep a streak going. So, do you have any experience in Kent?
Oh,
Kent.
Yeah.
I have never played in Kent, but I want to.
All right.
We're trying to hit more college towns this year.
Yeah.
We brought on a manager who's just trying to help us book outside of like the Cleveland, Akron area.
Yeah.
Kent's definitely on our list.
We've had Kent mentioned in every podcast that's come up, so I'm like, we better bring it up.
I'm a West Sider all my life.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't make it out there a lot, as much as I'd like to.
Yeah, I've only played at the Outpost there, but, you know, good times. And, yeah, everybody's talking about Kent every time they come in.
A lot of great little venues there.
Yeah.
Seems like all the jam bands play Euro Gyro or whatever the gyro place is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Euro Gyro can have some good shows. They aren't really built for shows, but they have, like, one part of their restaurant that is that you take the tables off and there's a stage.
There you have it.
I love places like
it's
that.
right in the front. And the sound it's okay. I mean, I give it a 5.5 out of 10.
As far as gyro places that have bands?
As far as the sound. As how
as far as gyro places, it's got to be a 10.
I used to do an open mic there that was more comedians, and that went over a lot better than
Did they have
bands
music?
just because of how loud the sound was.
You just made me have a flashback because I was thinking they have the comedians in the bands. We had played a gig once where they had a puppet show in between sets.
A puppet show.
I've never heard of that.
And this was at a swingers convention that we did not know was a swingers convention when we went and signed up for that gig.
Bands, puppets, entertaining swingers.
Swingers. It was, and this was our first gig as a band. And all of a sudden,
the title of your next record. Right
yeah. All of a sudden, we are playing, and everybody in the crowd is naked. You know how they tell you to picture everybody naked to make yourself calm? They're wrong. They are very wrong. It makes you go, "What the fuck are we doing right now?" I had to call my wife before the show because it was called Rumble on the River or something. So we thought it was a motorcycle thing.
Different kind of rumble.
Yeah, and then we got there, and all of a sudden there was signs everywhere that were no nudity beyond this point. So it was in Pennsylvania somewhere. I had to call my wife. I was like, "Hey, just letting you know that you probably won't be seeing any pictures from the gig, and I think there's gonna be some wangs hanging out all over."
That'd be great if you posted the pictures and just didn't acknowledge any of the nudity.
There was somebody there that actually told us that somebody had posted pictures there before. They were very strict on it. Somebody posted pictures there as evidence in a custody battle for one of their kids. So they were very strict about no pictures there. So
hey, your band is a footnote in a court case.
It was
pretty cool.
It was very, very weird, but it was entertaining. It was entertaining for sure, especially when there was a naked old man that was telling everybody it was time to leave. And he got on top of a table and was just swinging his dick around, going, "Get the fuck out!"
Just scaring people out.
Oh, he did. It's exactly what he did. He looked like Santa Claus.
Oh.
It was a scene, man.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
that's one of the fantastic story.
Yeah, it was something else. Dennis was there. Dennis Davis, our buddy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He was there.
I'm vaguely remembering. You might have told me this story before.
It was something else, man. And for the first gig as a band, too, you already got the jitters, and then all of a sudden that's going on. It was something else.
Our first gig went pretty well. It was with Erie Waters and a couple others, and then the same venue. And this wasn't a main venue. This was I think it's closed now. It's called Music Links out in Menor. It's tucked behind. It's a metal club tucked behind a giant eagle.
Yeah, I used to live right down the street from that.
It's
been Funky Frog. Yeah,
Back Street.
Yep,
Is it that same place? Tequila Jacks.
Yes,
So
all of the above. They keep
places.
going under.
What was it called?
Music Links. LYNXX.
That's not a bad place for a show at all.
The
what keeps it dying?
The police park in the parking lot. That's what keeps it dying. The Men on the
just
Lake
keeping the
police.
DUIs all the
Yes.
time.
Staff's hammered.
Yes, that too. But
we did our first show there, and it was with Erie Waters, and we had a promoter, so it was a festival vibe. And we're like, "Oh, cool!" And they're like, "Do you want to come back?" We're like, "Yeah!" Super, super green. And they're like, "All right, you're gonna open for this guy named Mick Blankenship." Shout out to Mick Blankenship. And we find out Mick Blankenship is a national act, a small-time national act at the time, and he was he wrote some songs with Disturbed.
Mm-hmm.
And he was on tour, and he was opening for Puddle of Mud, and we're like, oh. So we're like, okay, we're not going to sound like this crowd at all, but hey, we'll just play to them. It'll be good practice. The venue just didn't promote his show.
Yeah.
At all. And, I mean, he had, a truck. He had the rig set up, and we played to our girlfriends, and then he played to us. And he did the whole he played the whole fucking show it was full. He just had so much integrity as an artist.
Yeah.
And he probably doesn't like that I'm telling this story, but he's doing well. So,
Yeah.
Wow.
It was just this random thing. They just didn't promote.
I saw L.A. Guns at that place. That is the loudest show I've ever been to by a landslide. I've seen Pantera, Slayer, front row,
LA Guns.
Megadeth. L.A. Guns.
All the bands to be the loudest.
So I had to go hang out in the bathroom to listen to the band. It was so loud.
In this venue we're talking about.
Yes.
In Mentor.
Yes.
What was it called then?
That's when it was Funky Frog. Yeah, so I used to live right down the street from there, so I'd pop in there from time to time, do karaoke.
What a spot.
Oh, yeah. But, yeah, it was a great venue, but, yeah, the cops hang out in the parking lot, and it just killed it, you know?
That'll do it.
Yeah, no, everybody's afraid to go. I mean, the Men on the Lake Police have one street to patrol, and if they weren't at my house for sound, they were sitting in the parking lot there. Although they did, the one cop did come in and play piano at my house for one of the noise complaints. He's like, "You aren't that loud. Hey, you got a piano."
As he's writing you a ticket.
Mind if I jump in?
Can I sit at your piano?
Oh, they were all cool. They were, they would come by a lot because the neighbors were kind of dicks, but the cops were all right to me at least, So I can't.
You said you had the sign on the door, like, I can't hear you.
I can't hear you. Yeah, just come on in, or call me at this number. I have my phone. Yeah. So
that's really bold. Just invite the cop in your house.
Yeah,
well,
it was all right.
Around the lake, you don't have much to worry about.
Nah, they were all right. They treated me well.
So, do you have any musical career before the Chewy Center, or another band you were in? Did you write by yourself?
I was we had our garage band version of us, and then in college I played with some guys, but we didn't really gig out or anything. I had done a lot of acoustic coffee shop things, and two of the songs that were on our first record were songs that I wrote and brought to the band. I called it kind of like the Mark One. Those songs were Cleveland Weather and Murphy Girl, and they're fun, and they're fun to jam now because we've been playing them so long that we have these little big explorations with them, and they're really more just jumping off points. But I like writing with the guys, and of all of them, I've written with Nate, the bass player, the longest, and even when we weren't in bands together, we would just workshop songs together, and our friendship's kind of always been built around that. No matter what, I could pick up a guitar with a clean tone, he could pick up a bass, and we could just play for 30 minutes straight, without stopping, and just kind of have a conversation. And those friendships, when you're a musician, at that level, are just really important things to have, and just things that you should cherish,
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's I met him through that band, but then he moved to the West Coast for the summer to visit his mom, so we were just rehearsing all summer without him, and then he came back for one show, and then the band stopped, and then I would drive him to school. I'd pick him up at Sheets in Strongsville because he lived in Columbia Station. I'd drive us to Padua, and we would just listen to records every day. And he showed me more of the punk stuff, and rock music tracks from anime, things like that. And we would just trade things, and we had a playlist that kind of just became the things that we listened to together. And it's super corny, but we have a soundtrack to our early friendship.
Yeah.
And it's every day we just listen to those songs, and one of them was "Look Around" by Red Hot Chili Peppers, which was a song off of one of their newer records, which is a record that not a lot of people like. But that song to us was that was the theme song, the opening credits to our friendship, and that's still I think that's still in a lot of our music. You can hear there's little bits of it.
Yeah. So a lot of artists that have come in have talked about how the pandemic kind of changed their band, the way they approach music, the way they look at gigging, things like that. Have you guys felt anything from going through this?
It's a good question. When the pandemic started, we didn't think it was going to go as long as it did, so we just took 2 months off. And then we're okay, we have to play. We had a couple great shows right beforehand, so we were kind of bummed. We felt we had a good jumping off point for the year. Shit happens. But then that's when we got together and we recorded all the songs we had. So that was the album "Happy You're Here," which we recorded at Refried Audio in
Painesville.
Yep. Shout out to Willie Tharp.
Yeah, Willie's awesome.
Willie was our band coach when we started because we used to rent rehearsal space from him.
Is he in the storage garage by the railroad tracks there?
No, he got a really nice place.
Okay.
He's in Fairport proper now.
Okay.
And he had a blank canvas, and he just got to go to town on it. It is night and day, what he used to have and now.
Yeah.
he has his band play there. He rents out a bunch of rehearsal times, and he records. And he recorded that for us. And right when that was closing up, that's how we got Steve in the band, or right around that time. And the story of how we got Steve in the band is great. It was my fiance's birthday, and we went to Mahal's because his sludge metal duo was playing in the locker room. So we're like, okay, we'll kill two birds with one stone. We'll see Steve, and we'll go celebrate Alyssa's birthday. And I had been wanting to poach Steve into the Chewy Center for a really long time, but he had always had like 3 bands, so I never wanted to be that guy to ask him. And it was right at a time where he was just in Hamburger Lips. And Alyssa, like, never drinks a lot, but like that night she just tied one off. And I was trying to keep track of her, and I lost her. And then by the time I found her, it's after his set, and she's just like, Dave really wants you in the band, but he's too afraid to ask you. And that's when I found her, and I was like, fuck. And my face was red, his face was red. I'm like, this is ruined. This isn't gonna work. And he was super like nice about it. And then like I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna live with this. And then 2 weeks later, he texts me. He's like, is that on the table? I'm like, yes, please. And he came in. We had one practice, and we're like, okay, we have to call Willie. And we called Willie. We got him on 4 of our tracks, and so glad that we did. One of them was Uncle Art's Weird Elk Party, and that's like one of our like crowd pleasers.
Yeah, I was listening to that on the way home from work today.
Thanks. That's a fun one, yeah. And the organ made it. So that's it. So right around then, like we tried to like, we're like, okay, there's outdoor stuff going on, and that's how we kind of met up with Ryan Jensen from Spunfest, like just through mutual friends. Like he was trying to book bands. It was outdoors. We did a couple other outdoor things. And then, you know, we went into the winter, and that's kind of when shows started to pick back up because venues were like, we can't do this for 2 winters.
Yeah.
We need to have some kind of solution. And a really hard part of the pandemic was watching a lot of bands that were killing it right before just stop and haven't really picked back up. I won't name any names just out of respect, but like it was really hard because like a lot of musicians like I looked up to, but some of them like totally changed their ventures. Like some of them started their own production, or like they're doing like videos for other artists and things like that. So I mean, some people just reinvented what their artistic path was, and that's cool.
Yeah, that's why we're here.
Yeah. And that's awesome. And you guys like, I'm so happy. I'm glad you guys are having me, and like I love the people you interview. Yeah, it's just it was like a reshuffling, and some people just stopped. Some people recreated their art. Some people, you know, came forward and started new bands, and it's all great. I think Rust Belt Ragtops, they were a band that started in the pandemic.
Yeah.
So I mean, once like venues started like opening back up in some capacity, we're just like, we'll do whatever we have to. Like we want to play. Like we're in our mid to late 20s. Like it's like we want to. This is the time we really want to go at.
Hell yeah.
So I'm glad that like we formed some good partnerships, and like we've made a lot of band friends, and it's just a nice community to be a part of. Like when you shoot the shit with musicians, like you have a set of shared experiences that only you have if you do that.
Yeah.
Like my friends from college are awesome, but like they don't know a lot of the shit I go through with that, for better or for worse. So it's just nice to like, you can always talk shop with people.
Yeah. Well, you guys are in now to fill that gap that you're talking about, you know?
Yeah, we're trying to, and like we try to like introduce ourselves to new bands, and just try to like I want to be a force that brings people together, and I hope I've done that at least a few times, and I'm sure there are times that I've had to like, you know, I can learn from. But it's really important to us, and something we're really trying to focus on is just like, let's bring people together, like different artists. Like we try to bring live painters to our shows when we can, things like that. Just try to create more of an atmosphere.
Yeah.
Because yeah, it's like there's enough to go around if we're all helping each other out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I know, Evan, you've got a rehearsal coming up for a show. What,
tonight?
Tonight, yeah. Well, you got the show Thursday?
Oh, yeah, I got Thursday, yeah. By the time this comes out, we will have played a show together, me and Dave here.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
That just came about last night.
Yeah. So you can go see Evan, and you can go see my bass rocking out.
I'm borrowing Chuck's bass for this. I got a little problem with the nut on mine.
Yeah.
And it's the E's nut is a wobbly attitude. But
nut problems are no good, man.
No, they're not.
I'm really looking forward to seeing Apostle Jones. I've seen Mikey do like his more stripped down thing, like at breweries and stuff, but I've never seen the band in full. So
cool. Well, I wonder how many people are going to be there for that one, because that's a pretty small place.
Yeah.
To accommodate.
And the locker room, you're in and
show.
out. Like they want short sets for that.
We're only doing 40 minutes.
Wow. That is definitely short set.
Dave, what are your goals for this upcoming year for 2022 with the band? If you guys have something in mind you want to accomplish, shows you want to play, venue you want to try to hit?
Yeah. So right after this last show, we're going to take 2 months just to focus on writing new music, kind of create new jams off songs that don't really have it yet. We want to come out in the spring and we want to feel more evolved. So we're starting to book shows. We'll be announcing some Cleveland spring dates at some point. We're trying to hit some new cities. I'd like to do a couple new states this year. We just kind of want to stretch our legs and go play new places that we haven't, play some more festivals than we have. We just right now, like we feel like we have a really good sound going. We just want to keep developing that, playing with new people, playing with friends. This is the time, like we look at this as the time of our life to really just go at it. And I hope we're always part of the scene in some way, like whatever we're doing, but we're just happy that we're doing it.
Cool. We're happy to have you, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, man.
You're welcome.
For sure.
Cool.
Should we go one last thing that we
One
always
last
close
question,
on?
yeah.
Movies. You got any movies that you could recommend for us?
So seeing it right now, by the time this airs, Christmas will have passed, but you can watch this any time of year. Have you heard of Fat Man?
No, I have not.
So the studio that used to own Power Rangers, Saban Studios, hired Mel Gibson.
The original Power Rangers?
Yes.
Like 95, 96.
Yes. Hired Mel Gibson to play Santa in a rated R shoot 'em up called Fat Man.
Whoa.
It is a trip to watch because it is just like gritty Mel Gibson with a Santa beard, just like swearing and stuff.
This
and
sounds like a South Park.
No, and like Santa's workshop looks like a bunker. Like it's not jolly at all. Santa's drunk. And I will just close on that by saying they had the bravery to do something cinematically that no one else has ever done. And
Fat Man, all right.
Fat Man with Mel Gibson, he's kind of a jerk, but come on, it's the Power Rangers producers doing a rated R Santa movie.
Which I don't think's been done since Silent Night, Deadly Night.
And it flew under the radar, and it makes me so mad.
Wow.
But yeah, I don't know if I can top that. So
all right, I'll
thank you, Fat Man.
You can watch it any time of year.
Well, we might watch it tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, same here. sounds like a must see.
The cinematic bravery to do something that's never been done.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
Dave, a short and sweet episode. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you so much,
We're looking forward
man.
to more Chewy Center. And if you haven't heard Chewy Center, go listen to them while you're working out, while you're driving, while you're partying. It's a nice vibe.
Yeah, we'll have links to the Spotify below. So
thank you guys. I really appreciate it.
Our pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Peace.